sees the memes of production, and the like and subscribe button. You know, call them Trump gulags. You know, Trump gulags would actually be a pretty good term to like coin. You know what I mean? Maybe we should invest in that one early. Like maybe the immediate payoff doesn't use Trump gulags, but the long-term use of the term, like Hoovervilles. Yes, because the first time somebody said Hoovervilles, I bet nobody gave a shit. They were like, Hooverville, that sounds dumb. But like now, it hits. You know? Essays. Trying to come up with a goddamn title, man. There we go. I demonstrated enthusiasm to my editors by adding a yes to the end of my prescription. The Trump gulags bit does go hard, though. Is this live? Congressional Democratic leaders hold briefing on Elon Musk getting access to the government. What if when I hit the button that said play, the video played? I know that's kind of crazy.
Yet Elon Musk took issue with that warning. He said, in answer to a tweet that I said that did this, he said, Doge, quote, is the one shot the American people have.
I can't watch this. I can't watch this. I can't watch this, man. This is going to make me feel worse. I feel worse when I look at the Democrats than I do when I look at the Republicans. When I look at the news and the Republicans are like, you know, we have made it illegal to smile in public and dog kicking is now mandatory. I'm like, oh, those crazy scamps. And then when I see the Democrats respond to that in the way that they do, it genuinely makes me feel a lot worse. Look at my lawyer dog. I'm going to the Trump gulags.
Have to defeat bureaucracy and
logs.
Restore democracy.
The true
now, give me
logs.
A break. Nothing screams democracy like having a secret squad of company men pull off a hostile takeover of America's Social Security and tax information in the dead of night. That is not democracy.
That's great, man.
Democracy. We know what democracy's like. It's out in the open. It's not secret. You do two sides debate.
It genuinely is like insane and sickening that of the two parties, the Democrats are the less socially democratic. Like Trump and his cronies do way more to respond to the public interest and shape the public interest than Democrats do. It's insane. Like, imagine being this bad at understanding what your base wants when you are the Democratic Party, both in name and in intent, and your opposition is fascists, you know?
And then the elected officials make decisions. Democracy doesn't work in the shadows. Democracy doesn't skirt the rule of law. And it doesn't give special privilege to the ideas and needs of a group of ultra-wealthy people at the expense of American families. Of course we should talk about reform. Reform's
also, his suit fits like shit. You've been gaining weight,
we
Schumer?
should find ways to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of government. But you know what history shows? When it's done in the dark of night, it always leads to bad results. When these Doge people decide to cut a program, have they even talked to the people who run the program?
I'm sorry, I just realized I didn't actually send the video file over to my editors. That's kind of part of the process. Okay.
Have they even done a little research? Have they heard the other side?
David Hogg is now DNC vice chair. That's hopeful. Is it? I don't really like David Hogg at all. Even a little bit, to be honest.
Or are they just in such rush to cut anything they can so that they can keep tax breaks and give deeper tax breaks to the wealthiest of Americans? Undoubtedly not. They are not checking. They are not debating. They are not doing things in sunlight. So we want reform. We'd like to cut waste, but do it in front of the American people. Hear the arguments. Have the back and forth that has been the hallmark of this republic for over 200 years. You don't have a small group of select people who have little experience.
Remember how bombastic the DNC was? Like, the actual event, the convention. How did they pull that off? Like, how do they pull that off when all of their leadership is this allergic to charisma?
Breadth of government have access to these records and an ability to cut funding. The American people have a right to be part of the debate as to what programs should be cut. And just because a small group of people think they know better than the American people doesn't make it true. So we are going to do everything we can to sound the alarm and fight with everything we've got to stop this horrible, horrible act by this.
God, I hate him. I'm just like, just contempt.
Acquiescence.
I'm seething.
Encouragement of Donald Trump. Leader Jeffrey.
Thank you, Leader Schumer. And before Leader Schumer was a man of the Senate, he was a man of the House. And so we always welcome you back over to the People's Chamber.
You know what I saw for the first time
Democrats-
last night with my friends?
Like Nancy.
Poor Things.
Democrats
That was a really
are
movie.
always ready, willing, and able to work with anyone to find the common ground necessary to solve problems on behalf of hardworking American taxpayers, particularly as it relates to driving down the high cost of living. We understand.
This is the thing that really sickens me too, the way they respond. There is a difference between people who don't care at all and people who have no idea what they're doing. And if the Democrats didn't care at all, I don't think seeing them would upset me so much. The fact that he's still responding to inflation-based talking points when Elon Musk has literally like deployed a team of 15-year-old groypers into the Treasury Department to set up private servers and manually block payments issued by Congress in violation of the constitutional right of the power of the purse. Like, it's not just that they don't care, though that's definitely a part of it. It's that they're inept on levels that you and I, that we all couldn't even like begin to understand. It's incomprehensible, you know?
America is too expensive. There are far too many hardworking American taxpayers struggling to live paycheck to paycheck. Housing costs are too high. Grocery costs are too high. Child care costs are too high. Insurance costs are too high. Utility costs are too high. America is too expensive. Democrats are committed to driving down the high cost of living. Working class Americans, middle class Americans, and everyday Americans all across the land. Our Republican colleagues are
Do you
not
think this is how the SPD talked when Hitler took over? I have to like bring it back to the compare. I just have to wonder like where the Democrats rank in incompetence to other parties that have fallen to their fascist opponents, you know? Like I'm just curious, like what because I have to think, and maybe this is naive of me, I feel like the Democrats might be uniquely, exceptionally bad at reading the room. You know what I mean? Not to say the SPD weren't terrible, but this is like astonishing. Look up history then? Oh, okay. I'll go look up history. Thank you. I appreciate that. I was looking yeah, for a specific source, but now I know.
serious
Google history.
about lowering the high cost of living. They've done nothing, introduced not a single bill, not put forth a single policy proposal. They've done nothing as it relates to lowering the high cost of living. At the same time, they are raiding the government, attempting to steal taxpayer money.
Wow.
That's what the situation at the Treasury Department is all about.
It's like a failing upward thing, because Hakeem Jeffries, I think we can all agree, is a mediocre, dead-faced, fish-eyed freak. Looking at him, you are convinced for a moment that there is no value to a human life or soul, that there is nothing beyond like the fleeting mortal dregs of existence, pain and suffering until you return to the dirt once more. And then you see like a puppy or a cat or like a normal person, and it's fine again. It's not just that he's bad, he's uniquely bad. I think part of it genuinely is just that like Democrats get Jeffries is worse than Pelosi. Don't even speak their names in the same sentence, okay? Like we give Pelosi a lot of shit because she's very prominent. Pelosi dog walks these motherfuckers, both of these two. Like easily, in like every possible respect. Maybe I'm being a dunce, but what's the difference between Jeffries' concern for the economy and Bernie's? I'm sorry, I blacked out in the middle of reading that. I think my mouth might have been on autopilot. My brain didn't catch any of that. I am not sure if I can answer.
We will introduce the Stop the Steal Act in short order to prevent unlawful access with respect to the Department of Treasury's payment system connected to people who are trying to steal personal, sensitive, and confidential information related to Social Security recipients, Medicare recipients, taxpayers, businesses, non-for-profits, veterans, and everyday Americans. It's unacceptable, unconscionable, and un-American. Stop the Steal Act will prevent.
Can he show any emotion? Are you looking at his eyes? Even most centrist Dems don't like that. Oh yeah, literally, if you go out and you look at how Democrats are acting on social media right now, find me, and I mean this, literally one regular Democrat liberal who's like, yes, Jeffries, thank you so much for standing up for us. Nobody is happy right now. 0 people are happy with this. It's not just a lefty versus Democrat thing. The Democratic voter base, over 100 million Americans who are aligned more with the Democrats, none of them. 0. I'm staking all of it. If even a single Democratic voter is happy with this, I can't say what I'll do on YouTube.com. I'll drink a lot of water until my tummy hurts, but not so much that it causes harm to myself. But thankfully I won't have to, because nobody likes this. I just want you guys to understand that this isn't like the Democratic voter. I'm not out here defending the honor of the Democratic voter. A lot of them are cucked. I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just saying this is something else.
Unlawful access from taking place. It's unfortunate that many of our Republican colleagues are determined to stand up a shadow government of the billionaires, by the billionaires, and for the billionaires that will stick it to the American people. That's what's driving much of the behavior on the other side of the aisle. Because at the end of the day, my House Republican colleagues are determined to pass massive tax cuts for their billionaire donors and wealthy corporations, and then stick working class Americans with the bill by doing things like ending Medicaid as we know it. We won't stand for it.
Jesus Christ! Even in a delivery on a line like ending Medicaid, he begins the next sentence immediately. It's not just a lack of charisma; it's anti-charisma. It's like somebody trained him to deliver information in a way that holds no attention at all. I don't think it's possible to listen to this and follow along with what.
Act against it, and because we're confident that the American people are on our side.
How did these people get into office in the first place? The Democrats elevate the most inoffensive and centrist among them because they need a powerful inner circle of anti-populists to prevent any real populists or effective leaders from getting too high up in the ranks and pushing for things that would anger their corporate donors. That's the reason why, genuinely. Like, they deliberately elevate people like this because they need them as a shield against people like AOC. Yeah, but how do people vote for these people? Because the Democrats spend a lot of money convincing people that they're good. I bet you guys that most of the time that you've heard Jeffries or Schumer mentioned, it was in text or a video referencing them. You probably haven't actually seen them speak that much, despite their very high prominence within the party. And part of that is because you watch me, and I don't tend to cover these abject failures, you know, as much as maybe some other people would, maybe some more liberal channels. But a lot of that is also because the Democrats are relying on incumbency bias in safe seats to keep these guys in their positions until they die. Until they're like 95 years old.
We will stop.
Questions on this subject? Yes.
Senator, Republicans have argued that this is not an effort to cut government quite yet, that this is just a review process, that they're looking at how the money is spent.
Elon has literally explicitly said he's blocking payments. They've already done so. They by their own words, this is false. This is fascist propaganda.
That they're trying to come up with a plan to make sure that it's spent correctly. Is your issue with the process here, or is your issue that Elon Musk is the one that's in charge of it?
Our issue is, of course, with the whole process, secret, behind closed doors, and...
No, it is objectively a violation of the Constitution.
You say they don't want to cut... Look, when we saw what they tried to freeze payments to just about everything. What they want to do.
No, that was different. That's the memo. That's the memo that Trump put forward that led to the illegal spending freeze. That's different from Elon Musk taking over the Department of the Treasury. That's a separate issue. Are you mixing those two up?
So our belief is there's a real danger, a terrible, terrible danger, and a looming danger that they will not only have access to Americans' privacy.
They already do. They already do. It's not they will. They do. They objectively do. We know for a fact that they do. They already barricaded themselves inside the building and set up a private server. We already know. This already happened. This press conference is from like an hour ago. It already happened.
Information. But that they will use that to cut programs left and right.
But how specifically are you concerned about Musk himself? Is he...
What about God King Musk? Or what about the epic bacon doge man who narwhals at midnight? What about him? Isn't he epic? Do you have a problem with him? Or do you just have Elon derangement syndrome? Do you have a problem with retarded plutocrats taking control of our government and illegally blocking payments?
Concerned that Musk is in charge of Doge, but we're concerned about how the whole process works. And ultimately, the buck falls with Donald Trump, the president. But We are concerned that a small number of people are concerned with the whole process, including Musk and including the others who are in it.
As Leader Schumer indicated, the problem lies with some individuals who have been put in charge of this raid.
No, the problem is not with the people who are put in charge. The entire process is a violation of the law. It's not. It wouldn't matter. Even if they had the security credentials to be in the Department of Treasury and access secure information, that wouldn't change the fact that what they're doing is a violation of the Constitution.
On the government, including Elon Musk. But it also relates to the so-called special government employees who aren't required to adhere to the ethical laws and the disclosure requirements that were put in place by Congress in a bipartisan way for a reason, to make sure that people have the best interests of the American people at heart. And that clearly is not the case as it relates to this unlawful access to the Treasury payment system.
When it's something so important as to who the government helps, it should be done in a way that adheres to our democratic principles: openness, debate.
This isn't about democratic principles. It's a violation of the Constitution, the law of the land. It's like it's a coup. If January 6th had succeeded, I bet you this is what we could have looked forward to, by the way. If like a third of the Democratic House members and Pence had been hanged, and you had like QAnon shaman wandering around the Capitol building, the Democrats would set up like emergency conferences where they would denounce like the rude, mean, and icky way in which Trump expressed his, maybe if he has legitimate grievances with the elector count, then perhaps he should take that up in court.
Discussion and reflecting a broad group of people who have inputs into it, not just a very limited few meeting in secret.
It's unconstitutional. It does not matter how many people are involved in it. Congress holds the power of the purse strings.
What other recourse do Democrats have? Obviously, you guys are in the minority on
Don't
both
ask
sides
that.
of the Capitol. What can you guys be doing when this is money that you have appropriated to be spent, both in the federal freeze and in the international freeze?
We have 4 different ways of recourse. The first is just bringing this to light.
Wow.
Making sure that the American people know what it is. We've had
Nothing inspires you more, nothing fills you with more confidence than when you get hit with that. We have 4 ways of responding to the fascist takeover of government. Number 1, this press conference. Oh, that's great. We're off to a really good start. I hope 2 through 4 are a little more compelling.
some success there already.
Oh.
When we brought the freeze of funds to the public, there was an outcry, and Trump had to back off. When we brought up the tariffs to the American people, there was an outcry, and Trump had to back off. I believe there'll be even a greater outcry, or as much an outcry as this. The second thing,
I don't necessarily disagree that a component of what happened with the freeze and the tariffs was the public backlash, but Democrats had nothing to do with that at all.